Some people write stories for entertainment, and some people write because it's the only way they survived what they've been through. What if your pain didn't just shape you, but became the very thing that helped someone else heal? I'm your host, Edna White, and this is Keeping It Real on Purpose. Today, I'm sitting down with an author who turned some of her life's hardest moments into purpose-driven storytelling. After surviving a near-fatal car accident, navigating life itself, she went to write. She survived a toxic relationship that led to divorce and experienced heartbreaking loss of her twins. She found herself searching for a meaning in it all. Motherhood became that turning point. In her 30s, after the birth of her daughter, everything shifted. What once felt like pain and confusion became creativity and connection. Today, she co-creates children's books like Pirate Chickens and Under Attack and Adventures of Snug, using storytelling as a way to heal, reflect, and build something meaningful with her daughter. Her journey is a reminder that even in the hardest experiences, it can be transformed if you allow them to shape you in a different way. Welcome to the show, Miss Ashley Donegan.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. So I want to thank you for being here today. And like I said before, I didn't realize these were yours. My grandkids saw them and they just started reading to me. So these are the two books. Thank you so much. They were very enjoyable. My granddaughter, both granddaughters, one's 9.5 and the other's 10. So,
great. Well, I'm glad they got a chance to see it.
Yes. And they always like to have one up on grandma. So, so they were ahead of the game. They were ahead of the game, and I was a little bit late. But thank you. I heard all about Snuggs, and you kind of given them a inspiration to kind of create. So one of my granddaughters, she always, everything I do, she does. So we just did our first art exhibit together at one of the museums, the art museums down here. So we just did our first art exhibit together. We're planning on submitting artwork to another one. So you've inspired her even more because now she saw that your daughter did something and she figures, oh, we could do pictures together like this.
So, that's awesome. What type of art is in your exhibit?
So it's, mine is more of, I use parts of my body to draw. So when I get inclination, maybe it's my elbow, and I'll use my elbow to kind of create oil paints, like oil paint. Yeah. And it's just, I guess it's just whatever comes out of my mind. I don't know what that is, but I just started doing that. So, and she actually takes items from, that she finds, and she creates something out of it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So if you go on the beach, she'll find something and she'll create artwork out of it. Yeah. So she does that.
I love that.
Yeah. So we got two different things going on, but I think the one that we did down here was motion. So I did my hands motion in air, and she did a soda can that she found on the beach, cut it up in pieces and made it small, like fragments to pour in, and the sand was the soda. So she did that.
Oh, that's awesome. I love how creative that is.
Yeah, thank you. And so you inspired her even more to give her more incentive. So thank you for that. You and your daughter. Tell your daughter thank you.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Thank you for that feedback. I love it.
Yeah, you're welcome. So let's get into the questions because I want to get into the authorship angle that you were in. After surviving the accident, did you feel like you were given a second chance, or did it take time before you saw it that way?
Oh, that took a long time. That took a lot of healing. I went through a pretty bad depression, and a lot of physical healing as well as like mental and emotional, because I was hit by a drunk driver head on, and I had to go to court and like, a whole long process. It took a while. It took a very long while. And then as well as as you mentioned, my relationship was a bit tumultuous that I was in, and divorce, all of that, compounded everything.
Right.
and it's just a long journey. And I wasn't in a place at the time to even start healing,
Oh, that's
um,
good. Yeah, that's good
or
to hear.
even be aware of
Hmm.
how to do that
Yeah,
at that point in my life.
yeah.
So it took a long time.
Wow. That is so good that you brought that out, that you weren't even able to even talk about that part of the healing. You were trying to heal, and then you still weren't really healing because you had to go to court, and you were like taking time out for that. So it's like, yeah, you didn't get much of anything.
No, yeah, it was and I was so young. I was a lot younger, and more
Okay.
naive, and so yeah, it was a very long process for me anyway.
Hmm.
But I mean, I'm at a place now where I can look back and say
Right.
how grateful I am, because things could have been a lot worse.
Yeah.
Things could have been a lot worse. I mean, you hear people get in car accidents all the time and they can't walk afterwards, or
Yeah.
they just are in a wheelchair the rest of their life or whatever. So, I mean, I wasn't at back then right away. I wasn't in that place. I was like, why did this happen to me? Why me? I'm a good person, I don't understand. And it took a lot of soul searching and kind of
Yeah.
digging to get to the place where I'm at now, where I'm grateful that it wasn't worse,
Absolutely.
and how much I've learned from the experience.
Right. That's so. Were you able, like, when you was able to look back, were you even more like you could see a lot more lessons learned, than you would have like right during that time?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, because right away when it happened, like I said, I was like, why me? Why did I have to be in that
Yeah.
exact
Yeah.
spot at that moment?
Yeah.
Like, why did God put me there?
Yeah.
I'm a good person. I don't deserve this, and I
Right.
couldn't get out of that. I mean, it
Hmm.
wasn't really, I don't know if you want to call it a victim mentality, but I
Right.
don't, I think it's kind of normal for anybody
Right.
who
You were
gets.
trying to survive because you didn't know what was going on. Of course.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
but now yes, there's definitely been a lot of lessons I've learned along the
Yeah.
way. I had to grow up pretty quick because I was 21 at the time, and,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, I was working, and I had just bought my first house at 21 years old, which is kind of, I look back and think that's crazy, but, so
Yeah.
I had to, like, go to work and pay for my
Yeah.
house, and I couldn't lay around and just feel sorry for myself, so
Yeah.
I definitely became a stronger person
Yeah.
afterwards.
Absolutely. Yeah. You have gone through so much, like most of us, and as I, read about your what you've been through, it read to me like chapters in a book, and I thought that was amazing. Like, the way you wrote it out, it was like, oh, I see that chapter, I see that chapter, I see that chapter. I want to go back to your experience in that toxic relationship, because so many of my audience, listeners and watchers, they want to know about or learn from those experiences and what you got out of that. And let's be real, when you're in love, it's you probably don't see that stuff. I know I didn't, until it was probably compounded. um,
Mhm.
when it's something like that, does it slowly break you? And can you just share your story, that chapter of your life, with the audience?
Sure, about my toxic relationship?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So it was, um, a high school kind of, we started in high school, and there were some
Okay.
issues kinda right off the bat where he had a lot of trauma, and I don't wanna
Mm-hmm.
speak too much, like, of his story, because it's not mine to tell, but, he had a pretty horrific thing happen where he was in a car accident,
Okay.
and, that affected him quite a bit. And then
Yeah.
we stayed together through that, and then I got in my car accident, and then we got married about a year later. So,
Okay.
basically, 2 traumatized people
Mm-hmm.
were
Yeah.
together,
Right.
which is a recipe for disaster.
Mm-hmm.
But we loved each other a lot, it was like a young high school love, but it turned bad pretty quick,
Yeah.
because the trauma reared its ugly head, and we both hadn't really healed fully from that.
Right.
And this is just my viewpoint from it, but,
Yeah.
so he, in my opinion, wouldn't do any healing, and I wanted very much to have a family and have kids, and so things got
Mm-hmm.
really bad, as far as that. And it was very toxic, very dysfunctional. But like I said, we love each other a lot, but it just wasn't working for me. And I wanted a family, and it wasn't a safe, healthy environment for kids.
Right.
And so I had to make the difficult choice, and we got divorced.
Right. What was one of the lessons that you really got out of, something about seeing a healthy relationship? What was one of the lessons that you got out of that relationship?
That if one person isn't willing to do the work, I mean, one person can be willing and the other person isn't willing, that's not gonna work, and you're gonna outgrow each other. And so that's kind of how I felt like it was.
Okay, that's good
for us. And we wanted different things, and it was hard to get out of, for sure, because it was so dysfunctional and toxic. But I felt trapped, and I couldn't stay in that anymore.
Right.
So I guess I just had to, you just have to make a difficult choice, and
absolutely
stick with it, and hope, know that you're worth more than that. And
right. That's beautiful. Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that. We really appreciate that. Now let's go to the next chapter of your life, losing your twins. How did that shift your identity, especially when you always saw yourself as a mother?
Yeah, that was probably the lowest point of my life, because I'd already been through those very difficult things, gotten divorced. Like I said, I always wanted to be a mom, and it didn't work out in my first marriage. And then I unexpectedly got pregnant, and I was very happy, but also it wasn't how I wanted it to look, because I wasn't married and I wasn't with the person, to start a life with. And so that was devastating. And then when I found out that I had a miscarriage, I mean, it just totally destroyed me. And it was one of the hardest things I've ever been through.
Right.
And so and everything had compounded to that point, and I went probably to rock bottom after that, I would say.
Wow. So how did it shift your identity? Once you kind of went through the loss and the period of depression, you kind of started climbing out of that. How did it shift your identity then?
How did it shift my identity? I had to once again find out how strong of a person I am. I couldn't just sit and wallow in that, and know that miscarriages happen to people and it's devastating, but you have to move on with your life. And I knew I wanted a family, and I knew I wanted children, and I just you have to be strong and move on. I mean, or find a way to move on and find hope and everything like that.
Awesome. Oh, that's great. That's great. Well, that's great. Okay, so your daughter became your turning point. We're now at your daughter, right? So one on the back of this book here. Your daughter became your turning point. What did she awaken in you that you couldn't access before?
Well, so between the miscarriage and my daughter, I did a lot of healing modalities and counseling, and anything you could think of to try to get myself out of these low points.
Right.
And so through that, I did a lot of inner child healing and things. And one suggestion to me was to find what you loved doing as a child that brought you pure fun and joy just for doing it.
Absolutely.
Not that something that you have to do or work or anything, but just something for your pure enjoyment. And so for me, looking back, trying to heal those things was writing, drawing, art, storytelling, things like that. And so then when my daughter was born, that really was it helped me heal my inner child through her and seeing her creativity. And she is so creative. It just baffles me, but also she is a very good artist and way better than I am. But so she awakened that in me. And then I just came together and thought, we should write stories. We should do this together as a fun mother-daughter thing.
Yeah,
So
that's great. Well, I know this book here. Are you live on a farm?
I do.
Okay.
I do live
Because
on a
I was like,
farm.
you know too much stuff about this. It's got to be the farm. It's got to be a farm.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So, I know that children do wake those things up in you. They keep you, they revive you, and they kind of change and form your parts of your identity as the role of as being a mother. So
Yes.
that's how does she like writing and drawing most of all?
Yeah, so I mean, when she was little, we would just come up with all these. She's 11 now, but
Okay.
so we started this process. Well, I actually wrote Adventures of Snuggs when she was 2 years old, and then
Okay.
I got inspired to write it based off of her and her love of her
Mm-hmm.
security blanket, and
Mm-hmm.
I just like put it in a drawer and kind of forgot about it.
Yeah.
But then years later, I thought when I was doing some more work on myself, I thought, oh, I already wrote a book. Like I should
Yeah.
tweak that one and then do it
Yeah.
together with her. And so then I added her in probably when she was 7 or 8, I think,
Mm-hmm.
when we started Pirate Chickens.
Mm-hmm.
And she would just talk and talk and talk and just come up with all kinds of scenarios and stories. And I was like, we should really write these down. These are cute little ideas. And so
Mm-hmm.
I did, and I still have a list of like, I think 25 or 28 more that we want to do.
Wow. Okay.
Because she's so creative, but she would just like talk and talk and talk. And, but now at 11, she's kind of like, okay, mom, she's getting a little like tween attitude.
Yes.
So she's kind of not wanting to do it as much. And she gets a little embarrassed. Like she's embarrassed at the age that she's at now. She doesn't want attention on her about it. And she doesn't, even though I think she should be proud, but,
yeah.
Like she doesn't like her classmates to really know about Snuggs, that she, had her security blanket and everything. So, but I think
they
she's
grow
still
out of that after a while. My kids used to be like that, but then when they get in their teenagers and maybe 18 or 19, and then we're like with families all around, did you tell them about that, this or that? I'm like, but you don't want me to tell in the middle. But they love those stories, storytelling is incredible. And so, this is a great time. She'll remember this. That's really beautiful. And it lives
I hope
on.
so.
So that's a great
Thank
thing
you.
about writing, right? Is it
Yes.
lives on forever. Like forever. Just forever.
Yes.
So I won't
I
forget
hope
this
so.
title.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I hope it does for her.
Yeah, it does. It will. I won't forget this. Pirate Chickens Under Attack. Yeah, no, I won't forget that. So now you're gonna move over to all of this, how you kind of process all of this and creating these stories. Now that you create these children's books, and how do you go from processing that pain to creating stories now? How do you process that?
Well, like I'm trying to the stories and stuff are geared for children. So It's not like I'm writing a story about pain or trauma, but I try to take the feelings that I've had and process the creativity into a different form, I guess. And that is to turn it into something positive. Because I have a lot of creativity and my daughter does too. And so the love that we have together, I want to put that out instead of the pain and the negativity. I want to put out, the love we have for each other and our animals and nature, and hopefully inspire other people, or, just even if one kid reads the book and they like it, like I'm happy about that. That makes me feel good. So I guess, does that make sense?
Yes.
Saying it right?
That is perfect. Yeah. And audience, that's where a lot of people are still stuck, is what, we're not processing it, but Ashley has processed all the joy in here, processing that pain into the joy of helping a child have that adventure, and I know as a child who's lost, because of my childhood trauma, I lost my imagination. And getting one of these books, I now could feel like, hey, I know a chicken pirate now, and spark my interest, spark my imagination again. And for everyone listening, this is a moment where I don't want you just to hear the story, but really just to sit in it and hear what Ashley has said, so that you can really feel that, like processing that pain into the joy of writing. So sit with that, for, reflect on it, and just shift into what happens, with that. Thank you, Ashley. I really appreciate that. Now, this is the moment where I talk about breaking the pattern, and we bring that in with your book. And so we bring 3 points in: meaning, we bring pattern, and then we bring direction. So you're going to help us with that, Ashley. All right. So here we go. Your pain just didn't happen to you. It shaped how you see love, loss, and your own worth. But it also holds the blueprint. What was your blueprint when you look back on everything?
What was my blueprint?
Mm-hmm.
For
your chapters in your life, as it went through it, what was your blueprint? Like one word that you would pull out for, and maybe 3 or 4 words that you could pull out that kind of mapped you to your point now.
Oh, like what brought me here?
Yes.
Definitely pain.
Mm-hmm.
Love and support from my family. Luckily, I have a great family and people around me. So I would say pain, love, and support. I would say seeking out healing and knowledge and learning ways to heal myself, or to do, self-reflect and do better.
Okay. Oh, awesome. So that's that meaning. Now, pattern, how did it help you to grow? How did it help you grow?
Oh gosh. Well, pain and discomfort pushes you towards growth. Mm-hmm. And I think, like you said, some people don't seek that out, or don't, they're uncomfortable. So they just kind of stay where they're at, or they're more comfortable where they're at. And so for me, I've luckily rose to some challenges, I guess, and I've had to overcome. And with the love and support and the guidance and everything, I was fortunate enough to be able to do that.
Okay, awesome. So you said earlier, why did this happen to me? You asked this when you were younger. What could you tell the audience how to change that narrative, or change that question to get more meaning out of life?
Now, as I look back, it happened to me we all have challenges and mm-hmm. things we have to overcome in life. So this just happened to be, a couple of mine. And I'm no different than anybody. Some are just worse than others with their challenges, but you have to take that and say, okay, now what am I going to do?
Right.
And
great question.
Yeah. So it didn't happen to me. I would say it happened. It's kind of strong to say it happened for me to have the chance to learn and grow and do better.
Right. That's awesome. Well, that's so good. So where can they find this book, and what are you up to this coming next month, so that we can look out for you?
Yeah, so they are on Amazon, or the paperback versions are on Amazon, the ones you have, or I have the hardcover that's available through my website, onemamasheart.com. And coming up next, we're actually working on our 3rd book. It's almost done. I'm waiting to hear back from the editor, but so that's coming up as our 3rd book.
Awesome. This is great. Did you share? Oh, so it's on Amazon, so we can look up Adventures of Snug and Pirate Chickens Under Attack. We can look that up. We can look that up. I want to tell you, this would be libraries, look out. This would be such a great book for libraries to read.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Wink, wink, libraries. Wink, wink.
Thank you so much.
It was so great to talk with you and share the chickens and the beautiful work your daughter is embarking with you. And make sure you tell her that I said, keep going. Don't lose momentum. Don't care what the kids are doing. Because I did a book with my grandkids, and they were taking it to school and showing everybody, and they still do. So
Really? That's
yeah,
awesome.
oh my gosh, yes, they still do. I mean, and it was real pictures of them, like we use
Uh-huh.
pictures of them and of different situations, and it was like, yeah, I was in that book. Yeah, yeah. I'm out with
Oh,
that. Yeah. So don't give up. Don't it's I'm telling you, you're going to be doing some amazing things.
thank
And I
you.
met a lot of young people who are authors, really, and they go full force. I
Oh,
mean, really.
well, I hope it does well for her in the future and she
Yes,
recognizes how
absolutely.
special it is for us. So,
Yeah,
but
it
thank you.
will. Just give her my best. Tell her, keep going, keep
I
going.
will. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome. So, if this conversation resonated with you guys, don't keep it to yourself. Share this episode with someone who needs to tell their story and hear this story because it isn't over. And if you're ready to stop sitting in your pain and start building from it, considering being part of this month's The You Project because your experience didn't break you, it made you a better person. This is Edna White and my esteemed guest saying goodbye for now.
Bye. Thank you.